3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the place yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network, this is a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in, 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. I got Moist Mike. I got Stuart Kovacs rocking and rolling with me all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific today. Coming up 40 minutes from now, former Bears Pro Bowl defensive end, now does a great job, NBC Sports Chicago, Alex Brown will stop by. And coming up at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time, 1:20 p.m. Pacific today, the host of Lakers Nation, longtime Laker correspondent Trevor Lane, is going to stop by. And as expected, even though it was a much better game than I thought, and it kind of played into what this series was, the Lakers, they get a lead. Then Denver is within striking distance. They find a way to take over the game, and then it could be a 50-50 game in the final few minutes. And then Jamal Murray hits another big shot, 2 game-winning shots in this series, and you say goodbye to King James and the Los Angeles Lakers as Denver got the series W in 5 games, and that will set up a highly anticipated matchup between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So give credit to Nikola Jokic, give credit to Jamal Murray, give credit to Mike Malone, give credit to that Nuggets team. They are on the quest to becoming back-to-back NBA champions. It starts with the victory and the series victory last night, and now it does have a Western Conference Finals feel in the second round with the buzz around both these teams in the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. But we have to start the show with the future of LeBron James. And when I look at the future of LeBron James, there's 3 options. And here's the Captain Obvious statement laying out those 3 options. He could retire, he could opt out of his contract and go somewhere else, or he could opt out of his contract and return to Los Angeles. And I did find it funny how the other day when we did start the show talking about Kevin Durant, it was right in the aftermath of the Suns getting swept, and there was already a piece on The Athletic talking about how Frank Vogel and Kevin Durant didn't see eye to eye. Many players, including Kevin Durant, didn't fit into what Frank Vogel was trying to do. And there's all this speculation about Kevin Durant's future. When Kevin Durant got to the podium, he said, I can't provide context to this because if I do provide context, then it's going to be made as me looking like I'm making a bunch of excuses. So you hear from LeBron James last night, and we'll play his audio in just a second about his future. He basically says nothing. But the moment when the game ended last night, the moment when Jamal Murray said, screw Stu, as Stu was very confident. I texted Stu with about 10 minutes left in the third quarter. What a mush, what a jinx. Stu has had no confidence in this series whatsoever. Didn't even want them to win their first play-in game. He wanted to avoid the Nuggets. I say, Stu, scale 1 to 10, where's the confidence? Stu's like 7.5. He goes, they're winning this game. They are getting this series back to Los Angeles for a pivotal game 6. They may even win the series. That's what I was hearing from Stu. And the moment I saw Stu text that, and that text come across my screen, I'm like, okay, we know how this is going to work. We know that Jamal Murray's going to hit a big shot. We know Nikola Jokic is going to do enough. He'll come alive, and the Lakers will get genuinely swept out of the postseason, which ended up happening. But right after that game did come to a conclusion, and I had to text Stu and make sure that he was still standing upright and help him get off the floor and wipe away all of his tears. I see this article from The Athletic, and it's Shams Charania once again. Shams Charania getting used by Kevin Durant and Kevin Durant's representation, also getting used by LeBron James and his representation. And the article was, the Lakers are very open to the idea of drafting Bronny James. And then, of course, because it's never on LeBron, you have to justify a series. And hey, LeBron did everything he could. I'm not crushing LeBron in this series, but there's always a scapegoat when a LeBron team doesn't win a championship. And this time around, it's Darvin Ham. As the ham is on the chopping block, because Shams Charania, right after the game, yeah, it's unlikely that Darvin Ham will be back as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'll give you my thought about the future of LeBron James in just a moment, but let's hear from King James. Was this his last game with the Lakers last night? Let's listen up to LeBron.
Tonight, was there any thought at all that, this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
So here comes the drama from King James. Last year, out of nowhere, when he got swept out of the Western Conference Finals, he goes, who knows if I'm going to return next year? Maybe I'll retire. And that was just to be used as a front. So the next day, all of us bloviating talk show hosts would just be talking about the future of LeBron James. And this year, he gives a very ambiguous answer where you could take that answer and he's like, oh, I don't know if I'll be back in LA. Maybe that means LeBron is going to join Luka and Kyrie in Dallas. Maybe LeBron's going to team up with Steph Curry in Golden State. Maybe Rich Paul and Leon Rose, they had a meeting this year, try to rectify that relationship after Leon brought Rich Paul under his wing and learned everything from him. And then Rich Paul basically stabbed Leon Rose in the back and took LeBron James with him. That relationship's in a good spot. Maybe it's go New York, go for LeBron James. Trust me. I know all the hot takes that are already starting to brew off that LeBron James non-answer. So maybe LeBron's back in LA. Maybe LeBron retires. Don't think that's going to happen. Or maybe LeBron is on a different team. Let's hear one more for LeBron. So, King James, season's over. What's next? If you're not going to answer is this your last game in Los Angeles, what's next for you, King James?
Have you given any initial thoughts of what comes next this summer for next season?
No, I just want to get home to the family, honestly. Start looking at the schedule, obviously. I got, my son, one of my boys is just trying to decide if he's going to, enter the draft or go back to school. I got another kid that's playing AU ball right now. My daughter's playing volleyball, and my wife is doing so many great things. So it's about family right now. And then in a couple months, I got to go to Vegas for training camp. So, I got to rest my body for USAB. But that's kind of the initial thoughts.
So the thoughts that nobody cares about. We would want to know what the intentions of LeBron James are. But this is in the LeBron playbook. Delay. Speculation. And then, when you least expect it, LeBron James will announce what he's going to do. If this was LeBron, first stint in Cleveland, if this was LeBron in Miami, or even the second stint in Cleveland, I think a lot of people would suggest, and a lot of people would feel very confidently, that LeBron James was going to leave the Lakers. Because LeBron, let's be real, he does not have a chance to win a championship again in LA. And when he was in Cleveland the first time, he left because he didn't feel he could win a championship there. Then when he was in Miami, 2 NBA championships in 4 years, you started to see Dwayne Wade slow down. We know the unfortunate health situation with Chris Bosh. They were slowing down. Okay, I got to go back to Cleveland. And then you win a championship in Cleveland, but you knew that team could just get back to the finals, but they're never going to win another one. Then it was to go to LA. But remember, when he elected to go to LA, people thought that this was more of a business decision rather than a quest to win an NBA championship. And I know people will look back at LeBron's career and they will say, the Lakers scenario, the Lakers partnership, it was a bit disappointing. He did exceed what the expectations were. I remember when LeBron announced he was going to Lakers, no one thought he was going to win a championship. He did win a championship, although it was in the bubble, which I don't hold it against him. And that's something that people didn't think he was going to do. So the old LeBron, you would think he would leave. But the new LeBron, I don't think we really know what the playbook is going to be and how he's going to operate this, because this is a different version of LeBron, because his old intentions are drastically different than what his new intentions have been as of late. So I'll make a statement, and then I'll make 2 predictions on the future of LeBron James. The statement is he 1,000% should leave the Los Angeles Lakers. He should opt out. He should go to a new team and go to a team where he could actually, in the final year or 2 of his career, win a championship. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I would love to see this summer LeBron team up with Steph Curry and them join forces in the Bay Area. But even though that's what I think should happen, that's not what I think will happen. I do believe LeBron will opt out, but he will sign an extension with the Los Angeles Lakers. I also believe that the Lakers are going to make a run, right or wrong, at drafting Bronny James. And I think next year that the Lakers get Bronny James, and then you start the retirement tour for LeBron. Can LeBron go play another 2-3 years? Yes. Even though LeBron's body has suffered some injuries in Los Angeles, his individual production, even though he's still not the best player in the league, he's still a dominant player. And he does things at 39 that the human body should not be able to do. But I really do believe that the combination of LeBron staying in LA, the Lakers drafting Bronny James, and then LeBron turning 40 in December and entering year 22, that will be his final season in the NBA. And LeBron James, after year 22, will hand the baton right to his son. We all think he should hand the baton to other potential future faces of the league, and I don't think that's Bronny James, but he'll hand the baton to his son, Bronny James, in LA after living out that dream that he's inspired and he's aspired to have for so many years. So that's where I think we're at. If I'm LeBron, I would leave. I don't think he will. I think the Lakers draft Bronny, and I think LeBron plays one final season with the Los Angeles Lakers. But what say you? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. We also have a poll question up at INF Sportsnet and also at Zach Gelb. Will LeBron James be back with the Lakers next season? Here are the three choices. Yes, he'll be back with the Lakers. No, he's retiring. And no, but a new team is coming. Right now, 55.9% believe LeBron's going to be joining a new team next year. 36.5% say he will be back with the Lakers. And a minuscule amount of people, 7.6%, say that he's going to retire. I think number one, it's back with the Lakers. Number two, he goes to a new team. Number three, he's retiring. I did not feel last night, even though, right, we've heard LeBron speculate about the end being near. When LeBron walked off the court last night, I did not feel like that was his last game. And I would be very surprised with how LeBron likes to be the center of attention. And there's nothing wrong with that. That he would walk away without at least a month notice. That he wouldn't at least give, right, fans, or more importantly, his ego getting stroked and all the gifts and everything, an opportunity to say goodbye. And I really do believe that this is going to be a year retirement tour. And I think about the family connection for LeBron. Because say what you want about LeBron, but LeBron has been an incredible father. And LeBron James with Bronny James, yes, this may be his dream. I don't know if it's Bronny's dream. But the Lakers, that's the feel right after the game, that they'll be open and very open to the idea in drafting Bronny. And you even hear LeBron saying to Shams, or this was the reporting that the Lakers would be interested in giving LeBron up to a 3-year max extension. So there's many different ways that this could go. But my thought last night, right when I saw the Shams article, was I don't think that was LeBron's final game. I do think the Lakers are going to do all they can to land Bronny. And then from a family kind of lens of view of it, it just feels like once Bronny is on the same team as LeBron, that will be the swan song. That will be the ride off into the sunset moment for LeBron. Stu, where are you at? I know that you're ready to, or at least I thought you were. You've said it. I don't know if this has changed in the last 24 hours, but you have said before you're fine if LeBron leaves the team this offseason. Where are you at right now? What do you think will happen at the end of the day?
Yeah, I would be fine. I think this would be a time where if he left and wanted to maybe chase a ring, team up with someone like Steph or Luka, I would not have a problem with that at all. What I think he will do, I don't think he's retiring. I think that's close to a 0% chance, maybe like a 1% chance. He wants the retirement tour for sure. I think he's back with the Lakers. I don't think it's a definite, but if I had to bet my money, I think there's a better than 50% chance he's back with the Lakers next year.
All righty. And what's the contract looking like? 2-year extension, 3-year extension, 1-year extension?
I think 2 years. 2
years.
Yes.
Now, does he see the entirety of the 2 years, or is it, okay, you draft Bronny, I'll sign a 2-year extension, I'll play for 1, and then I'll walk away and just axe the final year of that extension?
I think he plays 1 more year.
Gotcha.
1 more
year.
Now,
I will say this. To give credit to the Lakers, they reward their own. And I know LeBron won't be remembered as a Laker, but the last few years, he's been one of their own. And if you have done great things on a basketball court, the Lakers tend to like to keep you around and also cater to that individual. You know, and that's why I kind of think, I have not been someone that has been of the belief that Bronny's playing with LeBron. I just haven't been in that belief. But knowing the Lakers organization and then hearing what Shams reported last night, I would actually be somewhat surprised if Bronny isn't getting drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. Because probably Bronny shouldn't be a lottery pick. And I know the Lakers are just right outside of that. But if a team gets wind, or if a team just wants to try to expedite this process, hey, draft is in late June or middle of June, let's try to give ourselves a chance. That could make Bronny rise up the draft boards. So whoever drafts Bronny, whether it's the Lakers or not, then you're going to have the LeBron dominoes fall as well. That's why LeBron wasn't saying anything last night, because he knows there's the Bronny domino, and then whatever happens with the Bronny domino may impact what he elects to do with this future. What say you about the future of LeBron James? 855-212-4227. We will take a timeout. Nuggets and Timberwolves will be an amazing series, and Denver is starting to look like one NFL legendary franchise. I'll tell you who that is when we return.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
Yo, it is the Infinity Sports Network, and it is the Zach Gelb Show. LeBron and the Lakers. Goodbye. Denver off to round 2, where they'll go up against maybe my favorite player in basketball right now, Anthony Edwards. You know, this is going to be a tough series for me to watch because I love watching Nikola Jokic. I've always had a great appreciation for Jamal Murray as well. There has been some years where I have said Jamal Murray isn't the Nuggets' best player. Clearly, that's Nikola Jokic, but he could be their most valuable. And people will be like, oh, how does that make any sense? Nikola Jokic has won 2 MVPs because look at what happened with the Sixers. Like, for so many years, Joel Embiid was a great big man, but the Sixers never had a closer. Jamal Murray is the closer. Like, when the Bucks won a championship, Giannis Antetokounmpo had a closer in Chris Middleton in that 1 year. When you are a big, it's very tough. And I know Nikola Jokic is such a different big because his range is incredible. His passing is sensational. We know what he is as a rebounder. But you need someone to complement Nikola Jokic and be the finisher. And the teams that find a way to win championships with bigs always have a finisher. And quite frankly, Jamal Murray may be the most underrated player in the NBA. I know he's had a bunch of injuries. I know he's been in and out of the lineup. He's never made an all-star game. But this dude, just the last few years when he's been back and healthy, big shot after big shot to win a championship. And now the Nuggets are on their way to winning back-to-back or trying to attempt to win back-to-back championships. And then you look at the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, right now, pound for pound, could be the most entertaining player to watch out of all the remaining players in the NBA postseason. And there's sometimes, like, Nikola Jokic is so entertaining to watch, but he doesn't embrace the stardom. He doesn't embrace the big personality. He doesn't have a big personality. As big of a game that Anthony Edwards has on the court, his personality in doing interviews is just as big. And that's always fun when you have a star that also likes to embrace the stardom and likes to talk to the media and gives you a good quote as well. And Anthony Edwards could hit a Steph Curry-like three-pointer, and then he could throw a jam down in your face. And I keep on saying this, he has a Michael Jordan feel to him. Now, don't get crazy, Jordan fans. That's not me saying he's going to be the greatest player ever. That's not me saying he's Michael Jordan, because I know how sensitive some of you MJ fans are. But he has that killer mentality where he doesn't fear anybody. And if you step foot in the court with him, you know it's going to be a long night. And Minnesota quickly took care of business against the Suns, right? You heard what Anthony Edwards said. Oh, Kevin Durant, whatever. Like, I know he has respect for Kevin Durant. And he hyped up his own player. Well, Minnesota is now going up against a different animal. And that's the Denver Nuggets. And you guys know me. I've said all throughout the year I will not pick against Denver until Denver's not an option to pick anymore, meaning they lose. This is a series that I would be shocked if at bare minimum we don't get a great 6-game series, in all likelihood probably a 7-game series. That's how much respect I have for the killer mentality that Anthony Edwards has. The problem with Denver is I just don't know how you beat them. Denver, to me, are the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the NBA's version of the Kansas City Chiefs. They have a great duo. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, just like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And then also both Denver and Kansas City has games where you're like, they didn't play their best brand of basketball or football. Or, they're trailing and they make this ridiculous comeback. And even if they don't look like they're the superior team on the court throughout every minute of the game, when the game ends, you're like Stu last night, where you have to pick yourself off the floor because you were crying when you go, how did they just blow that game? How did Jamal Murray just snatch my soul from my heart? Right? That's what they do. Now, we already know Kansas City is a dynasty. They've won 3 championships. You need 3 championships in a certain amount of years to be a dynasty. Denver's on their way, though. And Denver can and probably will win back-to-back championships this season, which, by the way, Kansas City just did. And I go back to the series, I think it was up against the Warriors 3 years ago, where Denver wasn't healthy and they lost in like 5 games, and people are like, Denver can't win it all. And I'm like, why not? Michael Porter Jr. was hurt in that series. Jamal Murray wasn't available for that series. And for Denver, you knew that this was a team that was ready to be great because of the one-of-one player that they have, the best player in the league, in Nikola Jokic. And they had the complementary pieces. The problem is the complementary pieces were hurt. And Michael Porter Jr., who fell in the draft because of a back injury, and Jamal Murray with the unfortunate leg injuries that he did suffer. And I know that Jamal Murray was dealing with a little bit of an injury last night. He had to get talked into, or he talked himself into playing. And he was just on fire right out of the gate. And he was awesome when the moment mattered the most. And there was a chance to put that nail in the coffin of the Los Angeles Lakers. And winning a series like that for Denver in 5 games in the first round is enormous. Because health and having your legs through this long journey, and I know, hey, there's some NBA series that they take, it feels like 4 weeks with how many off days there are. But being able to get out of a first-round series quicker always benefits. And who knows, maybe if they would have lost that game last night, you go back to Los Angeles, you would have never lost the series, but you lose Game 6, and then you have a Game 7, where you probably would have won. But getting that series done in 5 games was absolutely enormous. So Denver is on the cusp of becoming the NBA's version of the Kansas City Chiefs. And you just keep on seeing box after box after box get check, 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 check when you look at the Denver Nuggets. And now they just need to win back-to-back championships and do what Kansas City did this past year in the NFL. Real quickly, because we started the show talking about LeBron, and I put out that poll question, which you could find at INF Sportsnet and also at Zach Gelb. Will LeBron James be back with the Lakers next season? No, he's retiring is at 7.5% of the vote. 36.8% of you say yes, he'll be back with the Lakers, and 55.7% say no, a new team is coming. I believe that LeBron will be back with the Lakers. I've said I believe Bronny James is going to get drafted by the Lakers, and LeBron will then play one more season, and year 22 will be his final season in the NBA. But let me entertain the idea, because I've said LeBron should leave. Let me entertain the idea that LeBron does leave. I think there's only 5 destinations, unless Stu or Samter could give me another destination. 4, I think everyone will have these 4 teams on the list. The 5th one, I think it's a dark horse. So the Knicks will always be mentioned. And I guess Rich Paul and Leon Rose, with their separation when Leon brought in LeBron. Leon was LeBron's agent. He kind of groomed Rich Paul, and then Rich Paul took LeBron, and they started their own thing, right? Clutch Sports. So the Knicks, just the fact that Leon and Rich Paul had that meeting, I think is very big. And maybe you get rid of Julius Randle, you team up LeBron James, and you got Jalen Brunson. That could be a possibility in New York if LeBron's leaving. The Sixers. I thought a few years ago when LeBron was picking to go to L.A. and when he was leaving Cleveland, I thought the Sixers would have been a good destination then. Now you have Joel Embiid, who can't stay healthy. You got Tyrese Maxey, who's about to become a star. You bring LeBron James in, that's a pretty damn good lethal trio in the association. I would love to see him go to the Warriors. I don't think Steph Curry with this current group is winning a championship with the Warriors. I don't think LeBron with this current group is winning a championship with the Lakers. Like, I've seen some people say, oh, the Lakers' big move this offseason is going to be Trae Young. Yeah, I get it. The Lakers need shooting, but does Trae Young with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, when AD can never stay healthy and LeBron's have suffered injury in Los Angeles, does that lead to a championship? I don't think so. And then the fourth team is the Dallas Mavericks. I don't know how they make it work from a salary cap standpoint and all that stuff, but we know that Kyrie's been interested in reuniting with LeBron, and LeBron has been interested in playing with Luka Doncic. He has talked about the admiration that he's had throughout the years for Luka Doncic. So those are four destinations for LeBron: the Knicks, the Sixers, the Warriors, and the Mavs. Here's the dark horse. I can't see LeBron going to this team, but they are one of the better teams in the NBA, and they have a great young roster. And that's the Oklahoma City Thunder. I can't see LeBron going to Oklahoma City, but if he's actually serious about trying to win a championship, and we know what the Thunder just did the other night, quickly getting through the second round, and they are the number one seed in the Western Conference, if he's willing to go to OKC, then yeah, the Thunder would be stupid not to bring him in. So those are five destinations. I don't think LeBron's leaving, but if he was, Knicks, Sixers, Warriors, Mavs, and the dark horse are the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's go to Darren in Omaha next up on the Zach Gelb Show, 855-212-4227. Darren, what do you got cooking for us today?
Hey, Zach, thanks for having me on. Love your insight, love your show. I think two main reasons why LeBron's staying with the Lakers is, one, the Lakers are going to tell him, yeah, we're going to get Bronny because the Lakers have become kind of like Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. They care more about selling tickets and staying popular than really doing what it takes to win championships, because
good point.
The Lakers, the last 2 years, have not done much to give a supporting cast to take them seriously the last 2 years. So that's one. And number two, Zach, I'd love to get your insight on this too. I just didn't see LeBron have the big desire to want to go do what it takes to win a championship. As I watched him play that series against Denver on the offensive end, yeah, he still looks great. Defensive end, a lot of times, he's getting out-rebounded by Jokic. He's getting out-rebounded by Gordon. And I just didn't see him do all those little things to, late in the game, when it matters, he's getting outshot by Murray. Do those things that really the desire that you'd want to see him have on the defensive end to make sure and get the rebound and box out. I just didn't see it a lot, and that's why they lost a lot of those close games.
Well, Darren, I appreciate the phone call, and thank you for the kind words. I don't think that was a want-to issue with LeBron, but even though LeBron is slowing down, he's still great, though. So he's lost a step, but LeBron losing a step is still him being a top 5, a top 10 player in the sport. But you got to remember, he's closing in on 40. So even though he's still in pristine condition, he is even going to slow down in these series. And also, he knows what a championship team is. And he has to know down deep. He knows he's been on teams that have got to finals that aren't championship teams. He knew that this team wasn't going on a run. Heck, it was crazy last year they got to the Western Conference Finals. So I'm not going to say it was a lack of want to by LeBron James, but probably, yes, some human emotion does take over where you know that this group isn't going to get there. But I thought LeBron, if he could have made that three, in the game where Murray hits the game winner, okay, you could say that, but he also made 2 other threes in that contest to just regain the lead. So you could nitpick everything and find, a few things along the way, but I don't really think there's much more that LeBron James could have done in that series. Alex Brown, former Bears defensive end, Pro Bowler, is going to stop by. That is a great job, NBC Sports Chicago. What are the expectations in year one for Caleb Williams in the Windy City? We'll find out next. Update time first. Here's the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And this report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. The Timberwolves advanced, but their coach might not be ready for the next round. Chris Finch underwent knee surgery following Sunday's sideline collision with Mike Conley Jr., leaving him with a ruptured patella tendon. The Cavaliers are back home to host the Magic in Game 5 of their first-round series, even at 2. Cleveland won the first 2 games on its home floor, only to find a much tougher time on the road. J.B. Bickerstaff is hoping his team can go back in front as it continues to find ways to create more scoring opportunities.
Us being able to sustain offensively what we're looking to get, I think has been the biggest challenge. I think that's clear. But, I think we had, great past couple of days to break some stuff down, watch some stuff, get a great understanding of what's in front of us and how we want to attack it.
2 other series can end tonight. The Knicks host the Sixers up 3-1. Joel Embiid, already questionable because of his injured knee, missed this morning's shoot-around due to a migraine. And the Pacers have stunned the injury-ravaged Bucks and hold the 3-1 lead with Game 5 tonight in Milwaukee. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. This week's player is Knicks forward Precious Achiuwa, who in Sunday's 97-92 win over the Sixers had 4 blocked shots. The Knicks as a team had 11 blocked shots and held Philly to their lowest point output since March 12th, where they scored just 79 points also against the Knicks, and the Knicks will try to close out the Sixers tonight at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. We'll talk some more hoops throughout the show, but now let's get back to the NFL gridiron. We welcome in a former NFL defensive end, played many years for the Chicago Bears, did make 2 Pro Bowls, and now does a great job NBC Sports Chicago. Bears in the news very much so, with Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze being 2 of the picks going to Chicago in the first 10 picks of the NFL draft. And Alex Brown is kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Alex, appreciate it. Thanks so much. How you been?
I've been great, man. Thanks for having me, Zach.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. So, a lot of excitement in Chicago. They had 7 wins a year ago. We know the brilliant trade that they made to get the number 1 overall pick the year prior. Now you add in Caleb Williams. Now you add in Rome Odunze. How good do you think the Bears could be here in year number 1 of the Caleb Williams era?
Oh, I think they can be damn good, honestly. I think they can be as scary, if not scarier, than any offense that the Bears have ever seen, that Chicago Bear fans have ever seen, honestly. You finally have a talent at the quarterback position that truly, I said this before, that truly has the talent, if everything goes well, if you hit it right, to be a Hall of Famer. And his floor be Jay Cutler. I don't think there's any way he throws less than 3,800 yards. I really don't. Not with the weapons he have, not with the offense that they're running. I don't think there's anywhere. And that's the most yards that Jay Cutler threw. I think he threw maybe 28 touchdowns in a year. I think that is the floor for Caleb Williams, even in his rookie year. With the weapons, they're scary, man. As defensive coordinators, I'm telling you, Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit Lions, they're scratching their head right now, I tell you.
I would be disappointed if this team doesn't make the playoffs. Like, I'm not going to say go win a division, but 9-8, 10-7 easily makes the playoffs. It feels like in the NFC now. This is a team that had 7 wins a year ago. We saw what C.J. Stroud did in year 1, taking over a team that was actually worthy of the second overall pick, and he doesn't have the talent that Caleb Williams is walking into. So they don't make the playoffs. I'd be kind of disappointed at this stage.
No, I'm right there with you. I'd be very disappointed. Honestly, I'd be very disappointed if they're not competing for the division title. I mean, let's face it. When we're looking back at last year, this team is clearly a more talented football team. Now, the chemistry and all that stuff has to come. It's good that they've been already working together as far offensively. The defense should take a step forward. You got more explosive players on offense. They beat Detroit last year, and they should have beat them twice. So you're telling me with that team last year, they beat them, and this team right here shouldn't be in that running? And Kirk Cousins is gone from Minnesota. I'm not saying I think it's there. Green Bay is Green Bay, right? They're Green Bay, and that's always the hurdle. I said a lot that back in 2001, I believe it was, the Bears went. I wasn't on the team at that time, but the Bears went 13-3, and they lost both games. They lost 2 of the 3 to Green Bay. It's always that hurdle, right? It's just they're that hurdle. And then you go up to 2010. Who stops the Bears from getting to the Super Bowl? It is Green Bay, because the Bears couldn't put them away at the end of the season. It's always Green Bay. So You know you're going to have to go up there, but when we go up there, when they come to Soldier Field, we actually have an offense that if they want to get in a shootout, well, hell, we can get in a shootout too.
Alex Brown is here with us. You look at this division from top to bottom. We know what Detroit is and what Detroit has built the last few years. They're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. We've talked about the Bears potentially being a playoff team. But even you look at Green Bay, who, right, great year one as a starter for Jordan Love. We'll see what year two looks like. But even Minnesota, I know they got some work to do defensively, but they got weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Top to bottom, this is just a well-rounded division right now.
It is. And I think the Bears competed last year, and I thought they needed some help in certain areas. I think they went out and got that help. When you add in Rome Odunze, you add in a Keenan Allen, you add in DeAndre Swift, you add in Caleb Williams. I mean, it's just your team has to take a step forward. And when you look at those games that we played against those teams, this is going to be a totally different team that we're going to put on the field this year. So the expectation is there. I think that's something that you have to take into consideration because expectation puts a little more pressure on you. So I'm with you as far as them making the playoffs. I think they should. I'd be a little bit disappointed if they weren't competing for that division, though. I think they can win the division this year and everybody come back and say, oh, I think they're a year ahead, just like they were talking about with Houston. So I think we're a more talented football team than Houston. If Caleb Williams can have a similar year to what C.J. Stroud had, there's no reason we shouldn't win the division.
I know you're confident in the Bears, but does that mean you expect a drop-off here from the Detroit Lions that maybe what they did last year isn't sustainable?
Oh, not at all. I think Detroit's good. I think they're a good football team. I mean, but when you mention last year, you bring up last year, and well, we beat them. We beat them last year. And the last game, I mean, they scored 14 points in the last 4 minutes of the game to beat us up in Detroit. So I think we had the team last year to beat them twice. I definitely believe we have the team this year, assuming no injuries and all that stuff, right? So that we can go up there and beat them at their place and beat them at our place. So if they're the standard now, which I always think Green Bay is the team that you have to kind of measure yourself on because they're always good. And that's why. I can't stand them, but they're always good. So you just got to, we go beat them and we got a shot.
Talking to Alex Brown, former Pro Bowl defensive end for the Chicago Bears. Let me take you to the 9th pick. I think Rome Odunze, like we did a segment, who are the 3 best players in the draft if you can't pick quarterbacks? And mine were Marvin Harrison Jr., Joe Alt, the offensive tackle, and then I loved Rome Odunze throughout this draft process, what he was able to do last year at Washington. Were you on board, even though they already added Keenan Allen, you have DJ Moore, were you on board with the 9th pick, or did you think that maybe they should have used it on a defensive player?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that play a factor in this. As long as Joe Alt wasn't there, I'm good. Like, we trade back, we take Rome Odunze. I think he's a heck of a player, don't get me wrong. And we're not in the meeting. We're not in that room with Ryan Poles taking those phone calls as far as what people are willing to give up to trade. So you have to take that into consideration. Maybe he just wasn't getting what he wanted, and there was a hell of a player there. And then you have to take what they've been saying is that they didn't think this could ever happen. And when he failed to them, they were just ecstatic about it. And there was no chance they were going to give that pick away without something absolutely crazy as far as an offer coming from another team. So I'm excited about it. The fact that we have him now, I think it's expensive for a third receiver, but if you're going to run 3 receiver sets and you're going to get out there and run it around, I mean, our offensive coordinator come from Seattle where he had DK Metcalf, they added Njigba with other Tyler Lockett. So he's had experience with 3 receivers and being able to get them the football. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. DeAndre Swift in the backfield, he's a problem there. This offense is going to be scary. I really believe that if Caleb turns out to be what I believe he can be, and I think he's going to be a hell of a player.
You're confident. You should be confident. I wonder, though, is there a large portion of the fan base that's like, we've been told before that we have the guy. You know, Justin Fields is supposed to be the guy. He's going to get 4,000 yards passing. Now Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. We know that there's been a long list of quarterbacks in Chicago where it's like, oh, man, the standard's pretty low there. Is the overall fan base pretty confident? There's still some people saying, let's see him get on the field before we get all crazy and delirious.
Oh no, let's see him get on the field and before we get all crazy. But my thing is, it's like a marriage. You go into the marriage, you go all in, and you just pray like hell they don't break your heart, right? Like that's it. Don't ease into it. Just jump right in and go buy the damn jersey. Like go do it. Like be happy that you have a quarterback that has that upside. And hopefully, if we're lucky and he actually reaches that upside or goes beyond it, man, we're going to be happy for a long, long time in Chicago. So I say go all in and let's see what happens. I mean, we've had our hearts broken before. So it's not like we're not used to it, right? Yeah. So go in. Let's do it.
And the other thing, too, on the rookie contract, hey, if this is a problem, you got to go give Caleb Williams in a few years a 5 to 6 year extension and you got to pay him $50-60 million a year. You want that problem, but you got to be aggressive. Like this team has enough to be a playoff team. You got to be aggressive early and not kind of have everyone operating with kid gloves on.
Yeah, I think I put them I can't wait to see them kind of come together, and they played them first couple games. But to make a run like what Cincinnati made when nobody thought Cincinnati would make that run a few years ago, it was just like, can they do that? They have the pieces. The defense played like a top 5 defense the last half of the year. If they can pick up right there and be a top 7 defense, oh, absolutely. I don't think they're just a playoff team. I think you better watch out in the NFC.
He's Alex Brown, former Bears Pro Bowl defensive end. Now does a great job, NBC Sports Chicago, giving us a little perspective after the Bears. I think they won the draft, getting Caleb number 1 and then Rome Odunze in at number 9, and now everyone getting a little crazy in a good way with the Chicago Bears. So, Alex, we appreciate you coming on and giving us a few minutes today.
Absolutely, man. No problem.
Thank you so much. There he is, former Pro Bowl defensive end in Alex Brown, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a timeout. When we come on back, we are about to embark, or we're getting close to embark, on the second round of the NBA playoffs. Last night, LeBron James going home, not advancing to the second round. The night before, KD got swept, bring out the brooms, going home, not going to the next round. For so many years, we saw LeBron, we saw KD, not only getting out of the first round, but going to the NBA Finals. Now, when we look at the lay of the land, 5 faces of the NBA under 30. We'll get into that conversation with LeBron and KD getting up there in age. We're coming on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, rocking and rolling. Hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You know, recently we've seen some young quarterbacks, when they get their opportunity, take the league by storm. And I think for a while there was this feeling of sit a quarterback for a year and then you play him. Now, in some instances, it could work. Like Patrick Mahomes sat a year. Then first year as a starter, threw 50 passing touchdowns and lost to the great Tom Brady in an AFC championship game. Lamar Jackson, he didn't sit the entirety of the first year because if you recall, he sat for like halfway through the first season, played a little bit at the end of the season, was the starter. You had the Ravens playoff game in Baltimore up against the Chargers where he did not have a good playoff game, but John Harbaugh stuck with him as the fans were chanting for Joe Flacco because they wanted elite Joe Flacco. They wanted him on the field, but John Harbaugh knew that Lamar's my future, so I'm not going to pull him out of this game. And ultimately, the following season, Lamar, first year as the full-time starting quarterback, won a unanimous league MVP. Joe Burrow, his first year, he got hurt, but then the first full season he was able to play, we saw that Cincinnati Bengals team go to a Super Bowl. And last year, C.J. Stroud, the turnaround the Texans made in year one was just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Where C.J. Stroud had probably the greatest rookie season I've ever seen. Like, you go back to, I said this before, Puka Nacua, and maybe like any other year in the history of the NFL with what he did, could have won Rookie of the Year and probably should have won Rookie of the Year. But C.J. Stroud was that great. Like, if I would have told you a rookie wide receiver before the start of last season would have had 105 catches, 1,486 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns, you would say Rookie of the Year. Like right now. If I told you Marvin Harrison Jr. or Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors had that production, you would think that would be the Rookie of the Year. But C.J. Stroud was just ridiculous and took a team that were perennial losers, took a team that didn't really have much of a foundation, and they got the right quarterback, and it inspired that entire locker room to not only win the division, but then to make the playoffs and win a playoff game where they ended up losing in the second round. You know, Andrew Luck, you want to look back at his rookie season too. Took over a 2-win team first year, made the playoffs with a roster that I don't even think most people could name 5 players from that year one Andrew Luck roster. So there are quarterbacks that when given the opportunity, whether they have to wait a year or they get thrown into the fire right away, they hit the ground running and you see an immediate change. And you look at the 6 first-round quarterbacks from this past year, Caleb Williams has a chance to make the playoffs. You know, Jaden Daniels is in a better situation than what people think because you have Jahan Dotson. More importantly, you have Terry McLaurin. But that Commanders team, I don't think they're a playoff team this year. You then take a glance at Drake May. Drake May probably shouldn't be playing until November at the absolute earliest. And that Patriot team is not a playoff team. You get to the other 3 first-round quarterbacks. Okay, Michael Penix Jr., he'll probably be in the postseason, but as the backup quarterback, barring an injury to Kirk Cousins. Or if Kirk Cousins is rusty coming off that Achilles, maybe you start to get the Michael Penix Jr. chance, which would be crazy. That's going to be a great storyline to follow all throughout the year. When the schedule comes out, and that's got to be soon. Like usually the schedule's released like May 11th, May 12th, something like that. We don't have a schedule date. I want to see what the first 4 games are for the Atlanta Falcons. And if I'm scheduling the entirety of the league schedule, I'm giving the Falcons 4 tough games. I'm giving them 4 games. You know, maybe throw 1 cupcake in there. Maybe like 1 later opponent. But I'm throwing 3 out of those 4 as really tough games. Because how fun would that be? It's crazy that we even have to have this discussion. When you just gave a guy a 4-year contract with $100 million guaranteed. But when will can I get a line on when the over-under will be that there is a first serious push for Michael Penix Jr. to usurp Kirk Cousins as the starting quarterback in the ATL? I would love to know when we are sitting here in the fall or even in the winter, and the first time I have to get behind this microphone and do the topic of should the Falcons move off of Kirk Cousins and put Michael Penix Jr. in there. And here's the thing that gets lost in the shuffle. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. Notice what I said, good quarterback. Not great, not elite, not a star, but there are a lot of teams that would like to have the production in the regular season that Kirk Cousins has had in his NFL career. And I think a lot of people believe, like I was pumping up the Falcons before this draft. Oh, you know, they're going to get the 8th overall pick and they're going to add a star wide receiver like a Roma Dunze. They're going to add a necessary defensive piece. I never, ever thought that they were going to add a quarterback, let alone in the first round. It was wild. And I was saying they're a dark horse team to get to an NFC championship game because I thought that number 8 pick would have been big and instrumental in this team's success. Now I'm like looking at Atlanta, and there's that elephant in the room. When is Kirk Cousins, regardless of the contract, going to get called to have his ass be on the bench. And I can't wait. Let me see the Falcons schedule real quickly. Falcons, Stu, you have the Falcons opponents?
I do, yeah.
Give me the Falcons opponents this year. Go ahead.
All right, home, Cowboys, Giants, Chiefs, Chargers, Seahawks, and Steelers.
Okay.
And on the road, they have the Broncos, Raiders, Eagles, Commanders, Vikings.
Open up that season with the Eagles, going to Philly. Then go home against Kansas City. Then let's go another home game against Los Angeles. Let's do the Chargers. And then, okay, let's see who's the worst away team there. Do a divisional team like the Panthers. A team that could probably improve this year, should improve this year, but no one's going to be intimidated by the Carolina Panthers. Give me a schedule like that. Eagles early, Chiefs early, Chargers early. Have them sitting at like 1-3. Because if they start the year 1-3, people in Atlanta are going to say, we have this NFL-ready quarterback and Michael Penix Jr. He's the 8th overall pick. Where if they would have drafted someone at 8, even though I don't think they should have, that was a year or two away, it would have been an easier sell job. But Michael Penix Jr. is ready. And then you get to J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. McCarthy can make the playoffs in year 1 because of that situation in Minnesota. Charles Davis telling us yesterday that he didn't believe this, but he said some have told him that they think Sam Darnold should still be or could still be the starting quarterback day 1. Oh, boy. If that's the case, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell, you need to come in studio. And I need to explain to you the career of Sam Darnold. To remember for 2 things. Seeing ghosts and getting mono. Okay? There's no reason when you take a quarterback in the top 10 that's NFL ready, even if you don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be great, that J.J. McCarthy isn't starting week 1 for the Minnesota Vikings. And then Bo Nix with the Broncos. Ooh, I do not like that pick. And it's nothing really against Bo Nix. It's more so that the Broncos thought they had to take a quarterback and they had to reach for a quarterback at 12. And Sean fell in love with Bo Nix. I know that, right? Sean with the Panthers or with the Saints all those years, and Terry Fontenot was also with the Saints all those years. I was reading a piece. It was by Albert Breer. It was very good. And they talked about being in that Saints war room when the Saints had Drew Brees. And they were all eyeing Patrick Mahomes, and they thought they were going to get the steal of the draft in Patrick Mahomes. And then the Chiefs traded up, and the Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes. And I guess this is why Terry Fontenot kept it so close to the vest. That there were so many people that knew, at least in the Chiefs building, that the Saints wanted Mahomes in the draft, that someone from the Chiefs war room texted someone in the Saints war room and said, hey, we got him. So how about that story, that nugget from Albert Breer? So I think Fontenot said, I don't want to get jumped, or I don't want to lose my guy, Michael Penix Jr., who he fell in love with, and I don't want to lose him. So even though it's not going to be a popular decision because he just gave a quarterback $100 million, that had to factor into it. And Sean Payton fell in love with Bo Nix, and now he's his guy. But the Broncos roster, it is ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. At least on that offensive side of the ball. A better offensive line than you'd think. But everyone else, man, it is a brutal situation for a quarterback that's going to play right away to walk into. So year 1, I have high expectations for Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels, I think individually will have a good season, but the team won't be great. Drake May, see you in November. You take a look at Michael Penix Jr. In an ideal world, he shouldn't see the field in year 1 because Kirk Cousins should be worth the investment, but let's see how the schedule plays on out. J.J. McCarthy should hit the ground running, and Bo Nix, I think it's going to be a struggle, and I hope they just don't ruin him early. Because James Palmer joined us the other day, and he said the comparison for Bo Nix that offensive coordinators told him was a more mobile Derek Carr. That's not reaching for the stars. Derek Carr is fine, solid quarterback, but I don't think there's a lot of fan bases that are saying, yeah, I want Derek Carr being the starting quarterback of my team. Okay, we will get to Trevor Lane, the host of Lakers Nation, coming up in about 10 minutes. Kevin Durant, not in the second round of the playoffs. LeBron James, not in the second round of the playoffs. Those have been 2 of the bigger faces in the NBA for well over a decade, pretty much the last 20 years. So when we look players that are 30 and under, or excuse me, under 30 years old, so 29 and under, who are the 5 future faces of the NBA? And I have a list of 5 here in no order. Luka Doncic, I don't really need to give you an explanation. Just watch him play basketball. Giannis Antetokounmpo, already a multiple-time MVP. He's an NBA champion. Nikola Jokic, still 29 or younger. Multiple-time MVP, NBA champion, could be a 2-time NBA champion after this postseason. Victor Wembanyama, he's an alien. And then it's Anthony Edwards. I look at those 5 guys, though. One stands out compared to the rest of the other group of people. And that's Anthony Edwards. Now, Anthony Edwards doesn't have an MVP. Anthony Edwards doesn't have an NBA championship. We know Nikola Jokic has 2 NBA MVPs and a championship. Giannis has 2 NBA MVPs and a championship. Victor Wembanyama is going to win Rookie of the Year. And Luka Doncic is a guy that can win an MVP in future years. Doesn't have an NBA championship or an MVP right now. Anthony Edwards, though, has the big personality. Like Nikola Jokic, as great as he is, his play speaks for itself. He doesn't have the personality. He doesn't want to be the star. When the offseason ends, he just wants to go home and ride his horses. Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't think he embraces the stardom. Victor Wembanyama, I think we got to learn more about Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama seemed like a fictional character until I got to see him in New York City at the draft. It's kind of similarly to Shohei Ohtani. You hear so much about someone, and then you get to see them play, and it's like, wow, it's as good as advertised. And we know Luka Doncic, he has a little bit of a personality, but it's not an overwhelming personality. Anthony Edwards, he'll kill you on the court, and then off the court, he is such an exuberant personality, and he loves just being that star and having that killer mentality on a basketball court. And I think the future for Anthony Edwards, really the sky is the limit. Now, some honorable mentions. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we know how great he is as a player. I think through this run, it's going to help increase his brand even more. Jason Tatum is someone that you've seen him a lot, right? He's a top 10 player in the league, has been to an NBA Finals. We know is the face of the Celtics, has the great relationship with his son, Deuce Tatum. He's someone that's lurking right there. We know he's not going anywhere, but future face of the league. We got to go see him win a championship. And here's one that I'll give credit to Bill Ryder's producer, Tom DiCelestino, because we're throwing this around the newsroom. This is a name that I think people have forgot about. But if he could figure out what's going on off the court and then also stay healthy, John Morant was right there on the precipice of becoming a major NBA star. Because you look at what he could do with his thunderous slams and his ability as a guard in the NBA, it's really special. But the problem is he's got himself in a lot of trouble, and then when coming back from getting himself in trouble, unfortunately, he did get injured. So right now, guys 29 or under in the NBA, the future faces of the NBA, the 5 that I have in no order: Joker, Greek Freak, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, and Luka Doncic. It is the Zach Gelb Show, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We will take a timeout. Did LeBron James play his last game as a Laker? Is LeBron James going to retire? Is Bronny going to be on the Lakers next year? Darvin Ham, we all think he's gone, but is there a chance that he returns? We tap into Laker Nation with the host of Lakers Nation. That is a long-time man that has covered the NBA in Trevor Lane. He will join us on the other side. This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, we know the Lakers are now out of the postseason after Jamal Murray said goodbye to them last night with that great game-winning shot. Denver advances on to round two. The defending champions will go up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now it's all about the future of LeBron James. It's all about the future of the Los Angeles Lakers. So we'll chat it up right now with the host of Lakers Nation, and that is Trevor Lane, always kind enough to join us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Trevor, appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this today, and how you been?
Zach, thank you so much for having me. A bit better. Would have been nice if the Lakers had extended this series at least, but we've got a busy offseason ahead, and that LeBron question, oh boy, that's going to be a big one hanging over the Lakers this summer.
In the moment last night when they lose the game, did you feel like that was the final game that LeBron James has played in a Lakers uniform?
No, I didn't. I think he stays. I think he likes it in LA. I think he trusts the organization. I think he's going to put pressure on them to make changes. That's for sure, especially when they've got future draft picks to trade. But I didn't get the sense that it was done. We didn't even get the comments that we got last year from LeBron, where it sounded like he was seriously considering retiring that off season. I think he is going to play at least a couple more years. And I don't think we've seen the last of him in purple and gold at this point.
What's the plan? Because I agree with you. I think LeBron is going to be back next season. You hear the Trae Young speculation. We've all seen the Shams piece that they're open to the idea of drafting Bronny James. How do they improve this team significantly to get them back to competing for a championship next year?
Well, there's really two paths they can go down. They do have those 3 first-round picks. I believe LeBron will expect them to use those picks that they have available in trade to try to improve this team. But you can either go big star hunting, right? You go after a Trae Young, somebody like that, or you go the other route. This is the route the Lakers essentially went last season, where they start adding on complementary pieces, guys who maybe fit a little bit better than the ones they had this year. They hope for better help, maybe a change at the head coach spot. I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. But when we're looking at these two paths the Lakers can go down historically, they've gone after the stars. I don't know that that's going to be the best path for them, but if Trae Young is available, I'm sure they will be involved in those discussions. But that's essentially what they're going to have sitting in front of them. Do you want to build completely around LeBron and AD, or do you want to go after that third star, even though we saw it really not work out when they went and got Russell Westbrook? Maybe they believe a Trae Young or somebody like that could work this time.
Talking to Trevor Lane right now. I want to follow up on something that you said. You don't think next year will be LeBron's final season. He'll come back. He'll play a few more years. I led the show today, and this is just my opinion. I think he comes back. They draft Bronny, and then he plays one more year. He'll be 40 years old come December. Why do you feel that LeBron still has a few more years and is going to be willing to want to play a few more years at the NBA?
Well, you look at what he's doing out there on the floor. I think the Bronny piece is part of it. He's talked a lot about wanting to play with Bronny, and that's such an admirable goal to share the floor with his son. That would obviously be very special. But you look at what he's doing on the floor right now. Is he the LeBron of 5 years ago? No, he's not the LeBron of 10 years ago. Certainly, there's moments where he looks his age. There's also a lot of moments where he doesn't, though. And I think right now you could still say he's one of the top players in the NBA. He's not the guy anymore that's just going to automatically guarantee a finals berth just by him being on the team. But he is still one of the best players out there. Probably better than 90% of the NBA, maybe more right now at age 39. So I think he can definitely keep going. It's a matter of the mental side of it. Can he gear himself up to battle through injuries, to train his body, all of that? That's more the question for LeBron. Physically, he can do it, but it seems like he still has the passion for the game. He enjoys being out there. And he enjoys the challenge. So I think he's got at least a year, maybe 2 left in him. And that's kind of the buzz that's going around right now, that we're probably looking at 1 or 2 more years from LeBron. He is playing with Team USA this summer too. So that wear and tear is going to really start adding up. But I don't think we've seen the last of him this season.
Let me get to the Darvin Ham part of it, Trevor Lane. Because from afar, people will say, Darvin Ham not expected to come back, according to Shams Charania. Here's LeBron again, killing another coach. How do you evaluate the early tenure so far of Darvin Ham, and where are you at with the head coach of the Lakers?
You know, I think that Darvin, I think he's a good guy. I think he's a likable guy. I don't think he's the right coach for this team. I think moving on from him makes a lot of sense. And look, there's a lot of stuff that has come out about certain moments where the players felt like they had to win the game in spite of their coach, where they had to come up with X's and O's plans and schemes and things like that. We could talk about rotation. We could talk about substitution patterns, all kinds of different things, playing favorites with guys he's coached before, all kinds of stuff that's out there. But the bottom line to me with Darvin Ham is he came in with the idea that he was going to be the coach that everybody was going to want to run through a brick wall for, that the players were just going to want to give everything they had for him every single night. And it doesn't seem like that is indeed the case at this point with this Lakers team. So if that isn't there, because we knew coming in, maybe he'd be a little bit weak on the X's and O's and everything. But if he's not getting the buy-in from the players, that's it. It's game over. They have to move on from him. And I think that's what we're going to see. He has 2 years left on his contract, but I think the Lakers are going to be one of the teams on the coaching search this summer. And I think we're going to hear on that probably in the next few days, maybe within a week here, that they are making that decision to move on from Darvin Ham as they kind of take a look back. I don't think they have a choice given what's going on this season.
So just because you fire the coach doesn't mean he's the biggest problem. Like, I look at the roster construction. I just don't think this team is capable of winning a title with the way the roster is constructed. So where does Ham fall for you in when you kind of lay out and kind of order up the blame game here?
Sure, yeah, I think he's part of it, in that one of the things this team was supposed to be able to build on was continuity and bringing back the same lineups and rotations from last season, and then he largely went away from those. Not all his fault, because injuries have been a factor, but I think he certainly deserves a large piece of that blame pie. But again, it's not everything. They've dealt with injuries. They had a rough schedule this season. On top of that, you talk about the roster construction. Did your lack of a true backup big to Anthony Davis come back to haunt you? Yes, I think it definitely did in this series against the Denver Nuggets. Your backcourt, having two guys who are offense-first players and not having a defensive backcourt mate for either Austin Reeves or D'Angelo Russell, that's a challenge. Not having enough two-way players in general, having a lot of guys that are all offense, all defense, and not much in between. The roster construction is an issue. They've had a lot of problems. We talked about the draft pick from last year, too, that not panning out yet with Jalen Hood-Schifino. It's been a lot of things that have come together to create what's been a disappointing season for a Lakers team that had very high aspirations coming in.
If LeBron does leave, like if he says, I'm going to opt out, I'm going to leave the Lakers, who are some teams that you maybe monitor here, Trevor Lane?
Well, definitely keeping an eye on the Philadelphia 76ers. They are ready-made. They're set. They've got all the cap room. They've been hoarding that cap space forever. Come play with Joel Embiid. Come play with Tyrese Maxey. That's the easy landing spot because they can give him the money. He can walk right in, be the third guy. They can add pieces. Daryl Morey is known for being very creative, and off you go. I think Philly would be a really interesting landing spot for him. I know a lot of people have thrown around Golden State. They were sniffing around LeBron at the trade deadline, seeing if the Lakers maybe would be willing to try to make that move. LeBron told them no. The Lakers just referred Golden State to LeBron, said, talk to LeBron, see if he's even interested in that. And LeBron said, no, I'm not interested in that. I don't want to do that, but maybe his mind changes. I'm sure Golden State will revisit that conversation this summer too. So those are the two teams that I really be keeping an eye on, because the other teams that have cap space, I don't really see as viable options. He can't step in and win. Philly has cap space. He could step in right there and win. And then Golden State could put together an interesting trade, and LeBron and Steph playing together. That would certainly be a sight to see.
I know you think LeBron's going to be back with the Lakers, and I agree with you, but at 100%, like, where do you put that number on the confidence that he'll be back with the Lakers next year?
I'd say 90%. 90% he'll be back. I don't think, from everything we've heard, even the stuff that's been coming out from Rich Paul today, his agent, it's sounding pretty certain that he's going to be back. It's more a matter of what will the contract look like. And from everything we've heard from the Lakers side too, they're going to give him whatever he wants. What LeBron says, I want a 2-year deal. Here you go. A 3-year deal. There it is. You want max money. You want a player option. You want us to draft Bronny? No problem. Sounds like the Lakers are willing to do whatever it takes to bring him back. I understand their mindset there. So I think he is indeed back. And again, I'd put it at 90%. I think he's back in LA. I don't think he wants to switch teams again, especially when he's spoken so much about family, how important family is to him and spending time with them. Tough for him to do that if he is across the country playing for another team.
Assuming the Ham gets put on the chopping block with Darvin Ham, who's your short list of candidates, Trevor Lane, to be the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers?
You know, it's tough. There's not a lot of names out there just yet. That list will start to populate as we get further along down this path. But Mike Budenholzer is probably the most accomplished name out there, which is interesting because Darvin Ham is from that coaching tree. So Budenholzer could be an interesting one. JJ Redick's name has popped up, LeBron's podcast co-host. Could he potentially be an option? I know Rajon Rondo's name's been floating around a little bit. There's a few different assistant coaches. I don't know if the Lakers will want to go with the first-time head coach again. All we know is that if the Lakers do decide to move on from Darvin Ham, they are willing to spend in order to get somebody who is a difference maker. There isn't a name that jumps out immediately to me, though, that says that's clearly the guy. That it's not like Eric Spoelstra's out there on the market, but Mike Budenholzer is an early name I'd keep an eye on. Terry Stotts is another one as well that popped up. But I do wonder, are they waiting to see if they can right or wrong and see if the Clippers move on from Ty Lue? The Lakers probably should have just hired Ty Lue 4 years ago or so when they didn't want to give him a 4-year deal, instead limiting him to 3 years. If the Clippers don't get out of the first round and they decide to move on from Ty Lue, I would be surprised if the Lakers weren't picking up that phone too.
And LeBron would love to see that happen. I was still surprised they weren't willing to go to the years that Ty Lue wanted all those years ago. But, hey, the Redick thing, he's a candidate for the Hornets job. He's a finalist now, so maybe that could be in play. But Rondo, what's the intel on that you got?
It's just a name that I've heard around with some buzz. I think most likely what would happen is he would get brought in more as like an assistant coach, something like that, somebody that could learn the ropes. But, you look at the 2020 title team and you listen to anything the guys were saying from back then. Essentially, the offense, Frank Vogel's a great defensive coach, right? And the Lakers just said, you handle the defense. The offense, it was Rondo, it was LeBron, it was Anthony Davis. They ran that Lakers offense. Rajon Rondo, known around the NBA as one of the brightest basketball minds we've ever seen. He's going to be a coach at some point. I think it would make more sense to bring him in as an assistant coaching option, but I was hearing this earlier in the year that maybe he was somebody that they would consider taking a look at. We'll see if it actually winds up happening. Again, I think it would be more wise to bring him in as maybe an assistant first and let him grow into that coaching role. But the guy knows basketball in a way that a lot of people do not. And I think if he wants to get involved and he's got everything else set up for himself, he's going to be on a short list of guys to look at.
Last thing I'll ask you, Trevor Lane, the host of Lakers Nation, always does a great job jumping on board with us. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's say that was LeBron's last game with the Lakers. What is the LeBron legacy in LA?
Well, obviously the title in 2020, setting the scoring record, that certainly sets the legacy. And we can't forget, the Lakers were in a very tough spot before LeBron came. They were trying to rebuild. Rebuilding is not familiar territory for them. They're praying that Brandon Ingram becomes a 1A guy, or Lonzo Ball, or D'Angelo Russell, right? That was the team back then. It was those young kids, and they weren't making a whole lot of headway. LeBron comes in, puts the Lakers into a whole new era, and then brings them, while it is just, a lot of people say just one championship, right? But obviously put the Lakers back on the map during his tenure there. Did it go as well as we would have hoped? I know a lot of people were hoping for multiple championships between him and Anthony Davis coming into town, but still getting the one title, putting the Lakers back into relevancy after they were stuck in the dark ages for a bit there. You got to give them a lot of credit for that. So it didn't go as well, certainly, as we would have hoped, but I certainly don't think it could be considered a failure either when he got that championship and he meant what he's meant to this franchise. So if that's it, I still think LeBron's jersey is going to be hanging in the rafters when he does decide to call it quits.
He is Trevor Lane. Trevor, appreciate the time as always. Good deal. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Zach.
You got it. There he is, Trevor Lane. So 90% chance he says LeBron is back with the Lakers, and maybe you monitor Philadelphia and Golden State if he's going elsewhere. I do believe LeBron's back with the Lakers next year. And as I've been saying, I do believe what Shams is saying, that they're going to try their best to go draft Bronny James. But we know the dominoes that need to fall, the drama that all goes along with LeBron too. So I don't expect any official announcement or anything crazy on the LeBron front anytime soon. I think you let the Bronny scenario play out. You keep the intrigue there. And once Bronny gets drafted, wherever he does get drafted, assuming he stays through this process, then you start to figure out where King James is playing next. And I believe it will be back in LA where he's been the last few years. All righty, we'll come on back. We'll date you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We call it the News Brief. Update time first on the Infinity Sports Network with the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Wolves could be without their head coach to start the next round as Chris Finch will undergo surgery on his knee after the sideline collision in the final moments of Sunday's victory resulted in a ruptured patella tendon. 2 first-round NBA playoff series ended last night. 2 more could end tonight. The Knicks host the Sixers, looking to finish off Philly. New York went up 3-1 Sunday when Wells Fargo Center became MSG South. Jalen Brunson poured in a franchise record 47 for a playoff game. The Knicks star said it was nice, but focused on the big picture.
You're happy you got a win, and you can look forward to see how can we be better and get another one. And so, yeah, it's cool, and I'm thankful, and just to be had the opportunity and do all that stuff. But there's no extra to that. It's just we win, we move on, and we figure out how can we be better.
The Sixers' Joel Embiid missed shoot-around today because of a migraine. The injury-riddled Bucks back home trying to stave off elimination, down 3-1 to the Pacers. Both Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo are doubtful. The Magic and Cavaliers meet in Cleveland. That series is even at 2. This afternoon, the Tigers with a 1-0 lead over the Cardinals in the bottom of the 5th. Jack Flaherty struck out the first 6 batters he faced and has 12 through 5 innings against his former team. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. I just saw the first mention, as this weekend it is the Kentucky Derby. I feel like we have not heard anything about the Kentucky Derby yet. When I first got here to CBS Sports Radio at the time, I know it's now the Infinity Sports Network, but at the time it was CBS Sports Radio, so I'm not giving anybody a quarter for that. Let me be clear. I was taking over for Paul Nanos from the 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern time shift, Nanos at night. And when I got there, they said you have to do this segment that Paul Nanos did, which I think eventually DA did. And then it was, does the horse know it's in a race? I've never seen phone lines, weekend overnights, where we're on 300 stations, tons of affiliates, calls. I've never taken more phone calls ever than that night. And then we kind of gave our analysis of it, where I did think the horse knows it's in a race, especially when the horse wins, because then, the horse gets a lot of nookie time. So that's why I think the horse does know. But we are coming up in the Kentucky Derby this weekend. So very much looking forward to that. I feel like that means Friday or Thursday of this week, we do some pucks and ponies. Feels like it's an Eddie Olczyk kind of guess. That's what it feels like later in the week on Thursday and Friday. So getting all set for the Kentucky Derby. I did one time ask Moose, Mark Malusis, when he was hosting here on the network, who I should pick. And he gave me a horse. It was on my brother's bachelor party. And I went to the teller at the Vegas casino. And I thought I put the money on the horse that Moose said, which the horse won. And it was a long shot, like 50-1. I thought I won all this money. But when I went to the teller, I said, I've never placed a horse bet in my life up until that point. I want to place money in this horse. They go, you have to give me the poll number. So at the time, I went to CBS Sports Radio's website, and they had the poll number. Someone from the company uploaded the wrong poll numbers, the post numbers for the horse. So the number that was on the website through CBS Sports Radio and also CBS Sports was the wrong number of the horse. And I wasn't the only one that got screwed over that way, because I did lead the show bashing the company the next week. And I had a few other people say that they got screwed over from CBS Sports as well. So I ended up going to the blackjack table that night, though. And I won the most money I've ever won playing blackjack. So I made up for what I thought was a winning, that ended up being a losing, and then ended up winning. So those are my horse racing knowledge. Maybe we'll have Larry Culmus on, the voice of the Triple Crown, later in the week. And probably better so, Eddie Olczyk. Anyway, let's get to Michael Malone, the coach of the world champion Denver Nuggets, on Money Murray. Jamal Murray, after he hit another game-winning shot.
For Jamal to add to his playoff lore by having 2 game winners in a series is just incredible. And the conversation before the game, without getting into too much detail, was an emotional one about him playing tonight. And as he just told me, he goes, I'm glad I played, because I don't know if we win if I don't play tonight. I said, well, that's the understatement of the year. The kid's a warrior, man. I can't say enough good things about Jamal Murray. The bigger the moment, the kid just continues to shine, and I'm proud of him. One tough cookie.
And he's so essential to what they do. Big shot after big shot throughout the last few years, and when he's healthy, they've had a chance to win a championship, and they did win that championship a year ago. Let's listen up. This is on TNT. You'll hear Stan Van Gundy. So Jason Tatum got fouled last night, and afterward tried to get the shot off, and then Bam Adebayo, I thought this was a dirty play. He tried to prevent the shot, but he didn't allow Jason Tatum to land. And, Jason Tatum suffer a little bit of an injury, but they don't think it's a big deal in Boston. But here's Stan Van Gundy on TNT.
All right, Ernie, thank you for that. It's Boston ball here, and we got a foul as Derek White hits the deck. Jason Tatum falls down trying to pick up a foul there. I think he may have rolled his ankle as he was going down.
Well, he shot the ball after the foul was called. Horford's upset. He thinks there's extracurricular activity. But look, Tatum decided to shoot the ball, and Bam Adebayo decided to contest the shot all after the foul was called. There's the foul call. It's already over. Tatum's going to shoot it. You're not going to let the guy. Yeah, but the foul's already been called. You're not going to let the guy just get a warm-up shot to get ready for the next one. I don't think there's anything there.
So if you don't want to let the guy get the shot off, that's one thing. But you can't basically not allow him to land. And that's where I thought it was a dirty decision by Bam Adebayo. Let's go to Bradley Beal. We know the Suns got swept out of the postseason the other night. And Bradley Beal was going to the bench, and there's a lot of thoughts that Frank Vogel could be one and done with the Suns. And he kind of slapped Coach Vogel's hand away when Vogel was, I guess, trying to give him a fist bump. This is Bradley Beal on the incident.
Yeah, I slapped him hard. I was frustrated with fouls, and I knew I was coming out. It wasn't nothing against Coach. I'm sorry if that probably did look bad, but it wasn't. I was more frustrated with myself and being in foul trouble. I knew I was coming out the game. He was doing his job. He was being smart, saving me. It wasn't nothing towards Coach. There's nothing there.
So I want to believe him. And I understand everything gets aggregated now and sometimes doesn't look as the way that it actually appears. But there was that article after the game where multiple players in the locker room thought that Frank Vogel lost the locker room. So if Bradley Beal is one of them, I could see why he wasn't all that thrilled with the coach when he's walking past him. And I kind of buy what he said, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. Let's go to Darvin Ham. Lakers out of the postseason. At least they made it to the 5th game. And I guess Stu then's going to raise a banner for that because they weren't the Suns who got swept. But what does his team need to be successful next year?
What would you point your finger to moving forward that this group needs to get to where it wants to be?
Stay healthy. Stay healthy. You take a lot of flack for your rotations and all of that, but rotations are secondary. The primary is health.
So that was a real quote because he talked about the rotations and everything. I know he's got a lot of heat for the rotations. I thought that was just gotcha kind of moment on social media. I'm not dismissing the health. The health is a big part, but still, even if they were healthy this year, this is not a championship team.
No, they're not better than Denver, even if they're healthy for 82 games plus.
Let's go to Tom Telesco. This is like the Stu hour here. We talk about the Lakers, then we go to the Raiders general manager. They drafted Brock Bowers, 13th overall. A lot of people thought that they were going to take a quarterback, but at that time, the 6 quarterbacks that were potentially projected to go in the first round were all off the board. So did Tom Telesco consider a quarterback in the later rounds?
Was there any thought about a quarterback, in these last 2?
On the 3rd day, no. Really not the 2nd day either. First day, yes, but not after that.
That just where the evaluation kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if we felt there was a quarterback out there that was better than what we had, or could potentially be better, certainly would have done something about it. But that didn't line up.
Yeah, I can't really crush someone for not taking a quarterback. You could low risk, high reward. But I'm not going to say, oh, wow, I can't believe that all the Raiders didn't take a quarterback, because once they didn't get one in the first round, you're not just going to draft a quarterback to draft a quarterback. Here is the new Bills sensation, Keon Coleman, who has a great personality out of Florida State. I love the game that he had this past year up against Clemson, on the message that he received from his new quarterback, Josh Allen, after the draft.
Yeah, he texted me, the day of. Was like, you the guy I wanted. I watched a lot of receivers, and I won't play with you. And I'm like, I've been saying the same thing. I want to go play with the guy that went number 17, and he's a great quarterback. I think he's one of the best in the league right now, and I would love to be catching passes from him. I'm ready for that.
I hope that dude's a star. You may not have heard it in that clip, but there was other clips where it's like, wow, this dude's just a great personality, and he's so happy to be there. But you look at that Bills team, we got to see how they look defensively, but on offense, you got enough to contend this year on offense. You got Josh Allen, that's the biggest part. James Cook was really good at the end of last season, throughout the entirety of last season. Dalton Kincaid was worthy of the pick that they did select him, as you saw throughout the year. And now you had Keon Coleman, who I thought should have been a first-round pick, and he ended up going the first pick in the second round. Travis Kelce, new extension with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City. Let's hear from Samter's favorite player on his new extension.
Back at it again, baby. Woo! I just see a little Super Bowl right there, man. Feels good to be in KC. I remember coming here 12 years ago, man. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I can't wait to get after it these next 2 years, but no better than right now. Getting fired up for this year. Just got out on the field with the boys. Doggone, we're back at it, baby. Chiefs forever.
So I thought there was a chance that this was going to be Travis Kelce's final season. Now this new deal locks him through 2027. Does he make it to the end of 2027 in the NFL? Does he retire before then? So the 2024 season, 25, that would be 4 more seasons. I have a tough time seeing Travis Kelce play 4 more seasons, but you take the more money and the guaranteed money when you could get it, obviously. And even though Travis started to slow down a little bit last year, he still shined in the biggest moments for the Kansas City Chiefs. He got into the league in 2013. I would be surprised if he makes it through the rest of this contract. I think 2 more years, it feels like, at most, for Travis Kelce. Maybe he goes 3 more, but that's the thing. You keep on pumping out these championships. You keep on singing, you got to fight for your right to Lombardi. It is addicting, and you want to see how many more that you could fire off with the great Patrick Mahomes. All righty, that is the news brief. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a time out. When we do come on back, I have to play you some LeBron James audio. Also, you will hear from one of LeBron's biggest mouthpieces. That is Windy, Brian Windhorst. What does he say about LeBron James's future? Will LeBron retire? Will LeBron go to another team? Or will LeBron be back in La La Land when the season does start in the fall of 2024? It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. LeBron, and more LeBron next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
What's happening? Hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The Lakers last night are going home. The season's over. Denver advancing to round number 2. We get Denver and Minnesota this weekend. And I can't wait for that matchup between those two teams with the high-flying Anthony Edwards going up against the best player in the league, Nikola Jokic, and just a clutch player in Jamal Murray. Has a Western Conference Finals feel, even though we'll be in round 2. But after the game last night, the moment, right, the euphoria did go away, where Jamal Murray did it again, all the thoughts were about LeBron James. And what was LeBron James going to say? And I'll tell you, I'm with Charles Barkley. Man, that was terrible, knucklehead. Like, I was with Charles Barkley. How long they make you wait for LeBron James to get to the podium. And I read somewhere last night that the Lakers basically used last night as their locker clean-out day, where usually the way that this happens, and it's kind of funny because it was on the road, that the teams lose regular season, postseason, whenever the season comes to an end, and then the next day or two, every player, every coach, right, is made available, and you clean out your locker. Now, the NBA, we know out of all the leagues, is the one league that is driven by the players. And we've seen, right, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, when they landed in Brooklyn, never have an introductory press conference. Leon Rose, as much as I love Leon Rose, like never addresses the media as the president of the New York Knicks. So if there's one league that doesn't allow people to kind of like follow the rest of the leagues, and there's no really tradition or there's no way you understand how things work when it comes to players and coaches addressing the media, it's really the NBA. So last night, the Lakers, I guess, made everyone available or almost everyone available. And I don't think that factored in why it took LeBron so long, because whenever LeBron wants to get to the podium, whoever, give me a random player, Stu, on the Los Angeles Lakers. Go ahead.
Max Christie.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to say, hey, Max, I know we told you you're going to go, but LeBron's ready to go. So you'll have to wait, Max. Okay, I think everyone will be ready. But you did have Charles Barkley, who's on TNT, right, doing the postgame. He's like, I guarantee you we won't get off. He will guarantee that we will not get off the air until LeBron at least addresses the media. So I'm sitting there, and I'm on the edge of my couch. Oh, not even on the edge of my couch. I was in the corner of my couch, basically with my head on a pillow and a blanket on top of me as I was trying to keep my eyes open as it was almost 2 a.m. And I'm waiting for LeBron James to get to the podium. And they play you one cut. I'll sound like a TV guy. They play you one sound on tape of LeBron James at the postgame. One. So in the moment, I'm like, all right, I got to start thinking about the show tomorrow. I know it's almost 2 a.m. Eastern time. I probably should go to bed so I have some energy. And I think my energy's been good today. But I ended up going right on YouTube, and right away they had the press conference streamed, and I was able to watch it in, the 10-minute press availability that was made for LeBron James last night. So last year, LeBron played into retirement. It was the biggest BS I think I've ever heard. When last year LeBron's like, who knows if I'll be back? Maybe that was my last game. And I'm like, all right, LeBron, you're just trying to take away from the shine of the Nuggets. And you don't want people to be lambasting you that you got swept out of the postseason. That was the reality of the situation last year. There was a 0.0% chance that last year was LeBron's final season, and obviously it wasn't. So this year, after losing to Denver again, I was wondering how LeBron was going to handle it. Let me play you LeBron from last night when he was asked what is next for him.
Have you given any initial thoughts of what comes next this summer or for next season?
No, I just want to get home to the family, honestly. Start looking at the schedule, obviously. I got, my son, one of my boys is just trying to decide if he's going to, enter the draft or go back to school. I got another kid that's playing AU ball right now. My daughter's playing volleyball. And my wife is doing so many great things, so it's about family right now. And then in a couple months, I got to go to Vegas for training camp. So, I got to rest my body for USAB, but that's kind of the initial thoughts.
So that gives you nothing. LeBron didn't give you a read one way or another. I do believe, just like last year, no one thinks LeBron is actually going to retire, and he's not walking away, and he will be back next season. But you have to remember the calculation, and everything's done so meticulously with LeBron James and what's at stake here. We don't know when Bronny is supposed to get drafted, right? You have some experts. Let me do that again. Some experts, and I say that in air quotes, that believe he's a lottery pick. Now, if you are told you draft Bronny, LeBron joins your team, that could rise the stock of Bronny James. I do think Bronny is going to go in the first round. In all likelihood, you see the Shams Charania report after the game last night, the Lakers are open to the idea. So I think the Lakers will be all in, right? Trevor Lane joined us earlier. We've heard it from others that the Lakers are willing to give LeBron pretty much whatever he wants. So I do believe new coach probably in all likelihood coming there with Darvin Ham. It appears on the way out. LeBron, I do think, will come back. And probably Bronny James, unless another team maybe wants to throw a little unexpected domino here to fall. And then how will that impact LeBron James and his decision? I would guess right now that Bronny James is on the Lakers next season. But for LeBron, it would be foolish as a father to say last night, regardless if I opt in or out, I'll be back in the Lakers next year. It'd be foolish for him to give the answer to the test. Because priority number one in this offseason for LeBron, forget about training camp, forget about the Olympics, forget about his future. It's what his son is going to do. And I believe his son is going to keep his name in the draft. I personally think he should go back to college and maybe go play with the former LeBron James high school teammate Drew Joyce at Duquesne and get another year where you could fully play with the unfortunate situation, the heart situation that happened over the summer, and play another year. But from a business standpoint, if you know you're going to be taken in the first round, and you know there's going to be a little bit of a race for you because you could get the services of LeBron, yeah, I understand why Bronny is going to take advantage of that. So LeBron wasn't going to give you anything last night one way or another because he wants to keep you guessing, because whether it's needed or not, it's going to improve the stock of his son. Because LeBron, we don't even know if they're actually we know LeBron wants to play together. We don't know if that's Bronny's dream and if that's Bronny's vision. And the thing is, even if Bronny says, Dad, I don't want you being in the same locker room, as long as it's not the Lakers, right, then Bronny could get that wish. Because if the Lakers do draft Bronny, that doesn't mean LeBron needs to lead the team that he's currently on. But you need to at least create that buzz and that drama. And LeBron's not a dummy. LeBron knows that there will be a time in this offseason, well, you'll have Windhorst or you'll have Shams Charania get on ESPN or The Athletic or wherever. And they'll say, watch where Bronny James go. A source told me that LeBron is maybe not happy with the direction of the Lakers, and he's willing to go to some team that drafts Bronny James, right? Like, you'll know that report's going to be there. Whether that's genuine or not is a totally different conversation. Because even though I think LeBron should leave, I don't think LeBron is going to leave the Lakers, and I think LeBron's last team will be the Los Angeles Lakers. But let's hear from King James last night. LeBron, was this your last game with the Lakers? Did you feel that way?
Tonight, was there any thought at all that, this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
Stu, how did you want him to answer that question? Just wondering, you being a Laker fan, not how you wanted him to. With what happened last year and the bull junk, thank you, Coach Prime, for the word, but the bull junk that transpired last year where he tried to basically say there's a chance he was going to retire. How did you think he was going to approach that last night, just out of curiosity?
That's a great question. I mean, I think I would have expected something like, the offseason is soon, we'll see in the offseason, which I guess is similar to what he said. But, I mean, it's not like he's under contract with the team. I know he has the option, but it's not like he's under contract where
it's his choice.
It's his choice, so I don't blame him for saying what he said. But yeah, it always seems like it's always him making himself the story after losing to the Nuggets.
And in this case, he's kind of making his son the story. Because I just think this is a good fatherly intention here. My son's draft stock is kind of dependent on my decision and what I do. So even if he thinks he's going back to the Lakers, which in his heart, I do think he believes he's going back to the Lakers, you can get the best of both worlds in his mind where you get Bronny and LeBron on the same team through the draft. Or you could, even if you think you're going to go to Lakers, like maybe Bronny says, okay, Dad, I don't want you to be in the same locker room as me. You could at least give that idea and that thought that LeBron is still willing to go to another team. So I don't think he was in any situation last night where it benefited him for just being honest with us. I'm just happy he didn't threaten retirement. Because I think last year he realized, that kind of backfired. Everyone saw right through that. So now you just give people a bunch of no answers. Where are you at, Stu? 100%. Trevor Lane was at 90 that he'll be back with the Lakers. Out of 100%, LeBron next year, what do you think the likelihood is that he's back with the Lakers?
I think it's like 75, 80%, something around there.
Where could it go wrong? So maybe Bronny.
Maybe Bronny or maybe just
coaching search?
Yeah, that's true.
Because remember, and good on Trevor Lane bringing it up, how Ty Lue wasn't the coach of the Lakers when it's LeBron's guy, and he also played for the Lakers too, is mystifying to me. And it was all that they didn't want to give him. I think it was that 4-year contract.
It was the 4th year, yeah.
And they wanted to give him
3 years, yeah.
Like, who gives a rat's ass about that? How many years? Do you know how many years Darvin Ham got? Just on the top of your head, by any chance?
I don't.
Okay. No, that's fine. Let's see. Darvin Ham contract. I wonder if anything comes out. Ham got a 4-year contract with the Lakers. So it's like, what are we doing here? That, to me, I think was kind of the Lakers showing LeBron at that point. Everywhere you go outside of Miami, the organization kind of did everything you wanted. Outside, the only time Miami didn't do something he wanted was when he wanted Pat Riley to coach the team and they wanted to fire Eric Spoelstra, and Pat Riley's like, no, we're not doing that. I think that was the Lakers' kind of way of saying, yeah, we give you a lot of power and a lot of say. We give you a lot of leeway, but we're not going to do that. And that was stupid. That was stupid. Because Ty Lue should have been the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. When you bring in LeBron, you got to do what LeBron wants. So we know he ended up going to the Los Angeles Clippers and how that whole scenario did play on out. So nothing really firm for LeBron. Your number 75, Stu. Samter, what's your number? Likelihood that LeBron James next year is on the Los Angeles Lakers.
100.
100. 0 to 100. Real quick for Michael Samter. I'm going to say it's 90. I'm going to go with Trevor. 90. I do fully believe he'll be back. The Bronny thing could throw a little wrench in the whole scenario. But if something goes awry with the coaching search, or they don't maybe have a good free agency plan that LeBron wants here, or a trade plan that maybe goes south. But I really do believe LeBron's back in LA next year. LeBron has Bronny in LA next year. And the one part that I disagree with Trevor Lane, and I guess it's possible, right, that LeBron go play another 2 or 3 seasons. I feel like next year is going to be the last year. I really do, especially if Bronny and him are on the same team. Maybe if Bronny and him are on the same team, it changes that equation. But I don't think he's going to play multiple years with his son in the NBA. Let's hear from Brian Windhorst. Windy, he was on the ESPN today, and he was asked about LeBron James' future.
Based on my conversations and my feel, I don't think he's going to retire. I do think he's going to play at least one more season. He has a contract decision. He has an option in his contract. And what he does will be somewhat interesting. I really don't see him leaving. I don't see him playing anywhere other than LA for a number of different reasons. But LeBron, I do think, will opt out.
Yeah, well, there we go. So I don't know where the relationship is with LeBron and Windhorst anymore. I think they were a lot closer years ago. But out of anyone here that I trust, when it comes to LeBron James and what he's going to do, it is Brian Windhorst. Now, Shams is pretty plugged in too. And Shams has been trying to push the Bronny narrative as well, that the Lakers are open to it. And even Shams had that they'd be willing to give him a 3-year max contract. So all signs are pointing that LeBron James will be back with the Lakers next year. All righty, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. You can find the poll question at INF Sportsnet, also at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. Make sure you follow me on X, Twitter, and also Instagram. And the poll question is this: will LeBron James be back with the Lakers next season? Yes, he'll be back. I'll be back. No, he's retiring. Or no, he's going to a new team. 7.5% say retirement, 37.4% say he'll be back with the Lakers, and 55.1% say he's going to a new team. We'll take a break. When we come on back, Super Bowl or bust teams for this upcoming year. After the draft, how many Super Bowl or bust teams are there? I'll give you my answer when we return.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network, and it is the Zach Gelb Show. Coming off the draft, I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that as you get set for the OTAs and the training camps and all the offseason programs, that these teams can legitimately say anything short of a Super Bowl victory this year is a failure for our organization. So let's start off with the two teams that are the most obvious in the AFC. It's the Kansas City Chiefs and it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, there's different levels in the Super Bowl or bust conversation. Like sometimes you don't win a Super Bowl, you maybe got to fire a coach. You don't win a Super Bowl, all right, it's viewed as a disappointment. But then there's a team like Kansas City, right, that's won 3 Super Bowls. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, I don't think we're slamming them. But every year you have Patrick Mahomes and you have 15, the expectation, fair or not, is to win a Super Bowl. So Kansas City's definitely, obviously, the start. They're the top dog in the league. That's the team you start off with. Then also, let's go AFC first, then NFC. Cincinnati. The only thing that derailed Cincinnati last year were injuries. You have to find a way to keep Joe Burrow healthy. I don't care if Trey Hendrickson is complaining and wants a trade. He's got 2 years left in his contract. I don't care if T. Higgins, who's a franchise tag player, wants to get traded. Whether you have those guys or not, irrelevant to me. As long as you have Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow is able to stand upright, you have a chance to contend for a world championship. So Chiefs, Bengals, 2 teams right out of the gate, AFC, Super Bowl or bust. The Baltimore Ravens. I'm not saying there's a great belief that Baltimore gets it, but after being the number 1 seed last year, having a lethargic first half against the Texans in the divisional round, finding a way to win the game in the second half, and then no showing offensively against the Kansas City Chiefs when the Chiefs didn't even give you a great effort offensively, and Mahomes even told me after the game that he just had to be a game manager and they were going to win that game. Right now, you're kind of stuck. Like individually, Lamar Jackson has won 2 MVPs. We know the Ravens have a good team. There's no more, if we just get to a conference championship game, that's successful. Or, we just get to a Super Bowl, that's successful. No. It is Super Bowl or bust for the Baltimore Ravens. I think these next 2 teams may surprise some people. One team maybe not so much. The next team maybe so. So I'll give you the team that's not so much. It's Buffalo. Now, you could lose your belief in a team, but Buffalo has consistently been there. They have consistently been in the divisional round. One other year they got to the AFC Championship. They have constantly run into Kansas City, give a great effort. There's moments in the game where you think that you're going to be able to beat Kansas City, and then you don't do so. But the Buffalo Bills, even though you don't have Steph Diggs, even though you lost some stalwarts on the defensive side of the ball, you have Josh Allen. You have James Cook. You have Dalton Kincaid. And you just drafted Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Buffalo Bills, Super Bowl or bust. Now, let's go to the Jets. I don't believe the Jets win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. There's the hot take of the day. The Green Bay Packers were in an easier road in the NFC, and they had teams that were constantly in the NFC title game towards the end of Aaron Rodgers' career. And they couldn't get Rodgers back to a second Super Bowl. Now you go in a tougher AFC, and standing in your way, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Stroud, Lamar, Herbert, right? Like really great quarterbacks in this league. So I don't think the Jets win a Super Bowl, but it is Super Bowl or bust. You have a year or 2 window with Aaron Rodgers, and I'll give the Jets credit. They got a damn good roster. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. You know, they got to stay healthy. Smith's a walking injury, so you draft a kid for Shanu out of Penn State, and you have a heck of a defense that's just begging to get productive quarterback play, and we know at his worst, Aaron Rodgers will give you productive quarterback play. So those are my 5 Super Bowl contenders in the AFC. Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, Bills, and Jets. I know a lot of people will say, what about the Texans? And I look at the Texans as a team that can get to the Super Bowl this year. But I don't think it is Super Bowl or bust for the Houston Texans. Now, they're all in. You have Stroud, you got Steph Diggs, you got Danielle Hunter, you have Will Anderson Jr., but if the Texans get to the AFC Championship game this year, and they have showed sustained success now in back-to-back years, is anyone going to say, that's a failure by the Texans? No. So that's why I didn't put the Texans in there. That was the one team in the AFC that I was like, maybe I should throw them in there. Cleveland, no. Pittsburgh, no. The Dolphins, you're getting close on decision-making time for Tua Tagovailoa, but I can't say it's Super Bowl or bust. And Jim Harbaugh just got to the Chargers. So you can't say it's Super Bowl or bust. How about they make the playoffs first? So those are the 5 teams in the AFC. Now, let's go to the NFC. I think there's only 3. If Aaron Donald didn't retire, I would have said the Rams are Super Bowl or bust. You know what? I'm going to make a quick correction. I'm going to throw a 4th team in there in the NFC. I got it. I was not going to put Dallas in there. I don't believe that the drama Dallas choking Cowboys, the cockroaches that are the Cowboys, are going to a Super Bowl or have a chance to go to a Super Bowl this year. But the Cowboys, the last 3 years, 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins. And the best performance they had was a victory up against an 8-9 Tampa Bay Bucks team in the playoffs. Outside of that, embarrassing performance against the Packers. Couldn't get the job done twice against the 49ers in games that they could have won. So for the Cowboys, they haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1995. They haven't been to an NFC title game since 1995. I don't expect them to. But what are you doing here? Dak final year of a contract. McCarthy final year of a contract. It is Super Bowl or bust for them, even though I don't believe it will happen. And then the other 3 in the NFC I think are easy peasy. Let's start with the San Francisco 49ers. They've been there twice. They've had leads twice up against the great Patrick Mahomes, and you've seen a choke job by Kyle Shanahan and company. Niners, we all know with this core for the foreseeable future, it is Super Bowl or bust. And you wonder, when do they maybe take a step back? When do they start to look vulnerable? And when's the moment where these long playoff runs do catch up to them? Next one, Eagles. Eagles are right there last year. They were 10-1 to start the season. And they had maybe the worst finish to an NFL season that I have ever seen. You win 10 games in your first 11, and you end the year with only 1 victory. Like, Stu has seen some bad football. Stu, I don't even, like, if your team started 10-1, first off, I don't know what you wouldn't know what to do with yourself.
I was going to say, I've never seen anything like that, no.
But you would at least think, even with your dreadful team, that they'd be able to find a way to win 2 more games the rest of the season. And that's you who always monitors and watches football knowing that something horrible is going to follow. I never thought I'd be back in on the Eagles. I did not think I'd be back in on the Eagles. But getting Saquon Barkley, I do not like the trade of Hassan Reddick. Obviously, you lose Fletcher Cox, you lose Jason Kelsey, but their offensive line is still going to be a force with Mailata and Lane Johnson as the bookend tackles. Landon Dickerson was a good draft pick a few years ago. They're going to be fine, the Eagles. And getting Saquon brings them an extra pop to that offense. You smooth things over with A.J. Brown. You got Devontae Smith in the contract extension. Saquon in the backfield. You got Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts looks like the quarterback more like 2 years ago rather than last year. So Eagles are Super Bowl or bust. And then finally, a team that if I would have told you 2 years ago they were Super Bowl or bust, you would have never believed me. It's Detroit Lions. The Lions are right there. The Lions failed in the second half. They probably should have been in the Super Bowl. They probably should have been in the Super Bowl. They have the right coach. They have the right GM. Goff is good enough to get there. You got St. Brown, that contract taken care of. Defensively, yeah, they could use some improvements, but Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a star in this league. There's no reason why the Lions aren't a Super Bowl or bust team. So those are the teams. Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, Bills, Jets, Eagles, 49ers, Lions, and Cowboys. Whether you think they're going to get to a Super Bowl is a different conversation, but those are the 9 teams in the NFL that could legitimately walk into a season and say anything short of a Super Bowl this year is a disappointment. Let's go around the room right now. And let's just do the quick exercise. I'm not going to hold anyone to their prediction right now on the 30th day of April in the year of 2024. But early Super Bowl prediction. Let me start you off with Samter. Samter, what is your early Super Bowl prediction, my friend?
Chiefs, Lions.
Chiefs, Lions. And who wins? Oh, hold on. I think I know your answer. The 3-peat for the Kansas City Chiefs and the bandwagon that you joined.
I'll say this. I want the Chiefs. I think the Lions take home the hardware this year.
Ah.
But I want the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs.
Okay, so you're taking the Lions over the Chiefs. That's what you're doing?
My heart says no, but my mind says yes.
Okay. Stu?
I'll go Bengals 49ers.
Bengals 49ers. That'd be a fun Super Bowl. May not be a good memory for our good pal Boomer Esiason, who we love, but Bengals and 49ers. I think my early Super Bowl prediction is going to shock people, at least for one team. Both of the teams are on the list. I'm going to put the Lions in the Super Bowl. I'm going to buy stock on the Bills. I know I did this last year. Halfway through the season, everyone was out. I bought a future ticket on them. Probably should have cashed out after the wild card round. And then divisional round weekend, I thought they had it. And Bass missed the kick. But the Buffalo Bills, everyone's going to write them off. You still have Josh Allen. I believe Keon Coleman's going to have a monster season. It's so easy to go Kansas City, right? Everyone's going to take Kansas City. Everyone's going to take Cincinnati. Like, out of those next grouping of teams, I did consider the Texans. Perloff was in there right before the draft, and he was like, oh, Texans Lions could be Super Bowl pick. I'm like, I agree with you. And that's just how much respect I have for C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans. But I'll go on a little bit of an island with the Buffalo Bills, who are going to still be a double-digit win team. People are going to question if they can win their division. They did so last year. They still found a way to get the job done. I will go Bills-Lions in the Super Bowl. And could you imagine both of those fan bases? Bills never won a Super Bowl, right? They went to the 4. They lost all 4. Lions fans don't even know how to say the word Super Bowl. Imagine maybe I'm a terrible human being. I would love overtime. Overtime, back-to-back years, overtime in the Super Bowl. Lions and Bills. And the celebration would be great, but also the heartbreak. When the game ends, to just see how that fan base reacts would be crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I will go early Super Bowl prediction right now, April 30th. Lions beat the Bills. Lions beat the Bills. High-scoring Super Bowl, 31-30 in overtime. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back. You will hear from Charles Barkley and his thoughts on the Boston Celtics. He said something last night that really caught my attention, but let's get to the update first. Here's the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Oh, the Minnesota Timberwolves are coming off their first playoff series victory since 2004, and for his efforts, Chris Finch is now headed for knee surgery. He could miss the start of the next round after the collision with Mike Conley late in Sunday's clinching victory. The Pacers just barely got the 6th seed in the East, now on the verge of shaking up the Eastern Conference. Indiana holds a 3-1 series lead over the Bucks and tries to advance tonight, Game 5 in Milwaukee. Indiana dropped the series opener but have reeled off 3 straight wins, and Tyrese Halliburton said that loss served as a learning experience.
We made a decision after Game 1 that no matter what, we were going to dictate the pace on makes, on misses, and that's really how we've created our identity the whole year. I think people know on makes, on misses, we're pushing the ball, and I think that that's important for us.
Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard are both doubtful with injuries, and Joel Embiid missed today's shoot-around with a migraine as the Sixers try to stave off elimination, down 3-1 in New York tonight. The Cavaliers host the Magic with that series even at 2. Every game has since been won by the home team so far. And baseball today in Detroit, top of the 8th, it's the Tigers with a 1-0 lead over the Cardinals. Jack Flaherty with a career-high 14 strikeouts against his former team. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, closing time on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
That's
a
dime.
I think it's a full quarter, honestly. You know, I'm not going to lie here. I really thought last week was the last week of any of those slip-ups. But when you start here's where it happens. I started thinking about other things that we were doing off the rundown, and then you forget, okay, the network name change. So I was about to say on the YouTube chat, there is a very, 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 I don't want to say heated discussion, but lively discussion, that if you were getting a pet, what would you name your pet? Now, I have an answer for that. And I came up with this answer when I was actually on a bachelor party in Puerto Rico back in February. So, Samter, you have a dog. Well, what's the name of your dog? I probably should know this, but what's the name of your dog?
Oliver.
Oliver. That's a good name.
It's a good name. Middle name's Simba. Oliver Simba, because he looks like Simba.
Oliver Simba. What kind of dog is it again? Shih Tzu?
He is a Shorky Poo. He's a Shih Tzu Yorkie Poodle mix.
That fits Samter.
Yeah.
They definitely fit Samter. So Oliver Simba Samter. Okay, that's a good name. Stu, I know you have 2 cats.
Yes.
I'm not a big cat guy, but what are the name of your 2 cats?
Jack and Cornelia.
Cornelia?
Yes, it is after a Taylor Swift song.
Oh, boy. Did you hear on Maggie and Perloff this morning? This was just sent my way, and I thought it was very good. I guess Pete, the Body Bilotti, was getting all nostalgic, and there's a report that the NBA could be going back to NBC. So he was getting nostalgic, and they did an AI Taylor Swift Pete the Body Bilotti song. It was excellent. What is the Swiftie? Do you know the Swiftie background on the Cornelia? Is it like the name of the song?
Yeah, it's like the name of a song, Cornelia Street. And she used to live on Cornelia Street.
Oh, here? Yeah.
Yes.
I think she still lives around here.
Yes. That was her old apartment, though. I know she has a different one now, but yeah.
Stalkers,
I know. Now I sound like a creepo.
Yeah, I was going to say, that when the height of the Kelsey relationship was really starting with Taylor Swift, there was one night where I was walking home from here, and there was like a large crowd. And I'm like, oh, this is where Taylor Swift lives. And like all these losers standing outside. Oh, sorry, that's not nice. All these lovely Swifties. I don't want to start a war with the Swifties. They're all like standing outside waiting to get like one little like shot of Taylor Swift just to see her. And I stayed there for about 10 minutes. And like, I'm not watching this anymore. There's too much like high pitched screaming. Do you think we're gonna see her? Why do you think she's gonna come out of the apartment? I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. How long you have been here? 14 hours. Oh, you go, Bolt. Be terrible. So the name of my dog, if I was getting a dog and it's a boy, Mofongo. I had some Mofongo in Puerto Rico, and I'm just sitting there and I go, if I ever got a dog, it had to be a boy, Mofongo Gelb. That would be the name of my dog. But anyway, let's get to a little Kristaps Porzingis. This is last night. We have an injury report on Kristaps Porzingis in just a second, and a new medical term, a new part of the body I didn't even know existed. But this was Charles Barkley last night talking about the Kristaps Porzingis injury where he left the game and obviously did not return as the Celtics did beat the Miami Heat to go up 3-1, but now they're going to be without Kristaps Porzingis.
The thing out of this game is Porzingis. It was great in game 1 and 3 and then got hurt tonight because I told you he is a really huge part of the offense and defense. I just hope he's all right because listen, let's be honest. If the Celtics are healthy, they're going to win the championship, in my opinion. They got everything you need, offense, defense, good, solid role players. They got 2 guys who are all-stars, who are studs. Drew Holiday is a terrific leader.
Charles Barkley is my favorite commentator. I love Charles Barkley. I don't agree with him, though. In terms of if the Celtics are healthy, they definitely win the championship. No, if Denver's healthy, if Jamal Murray is healthy, if Nikola Jokic is healthy, just those 2, no one's given an answer in a 7-game series to beat them. Now, out of the East, I would like to see Boston get there because I don't think Indiana's going to the NBA Finals. The Knicks have a gritty team. We'll see if they could close out the Sixers tonight, but I don't believe that the Knicks are going to the NBA Finals. So even though the Celtics have their warts and there's still a lack of trust and a lack of belief in the Celtics because whenever you start to buy in, they have a game 2 type of performance up against Miami, I still believe that Boston is the best team in the East. But that does not mean I have them as the best team in the NBA because that's going to be Denver. Now, here's the latest on Kristaps Porzingis from Tim Bodenkamps, I believe his name is. Is this an actual? Yeah. This is just want to make sure that we got this verified, all squared away. The Celtics say Kristaps Porzingis is out with the soleus strain. The same injury Giannis Antetokounmpo had, which made him miss the entire Bucks-Pacers series so far. And Wojbomb, he adds that Kristaps Porzingis is expected to miss a minimum of several games with a right soleus strain, sources tell ESPN. So I already know Samter's answer to this. He did not know, and I don't know this either. Do you know what the soleus muscle is, Stu? If you had to take a guess?
Calf muscle.
Did you know that? Like, if you didn't watch the game and see that clearly there, it was something on his leg, and I said soleus muscle, what would you have thought that was? Probably like the sole of your foot, right?
Nah, I would have went like more upper. I would have went like neck or something, like something in the neck or something like in the upper back. No, but yeah, I never heard of that in my life.
Neither have I. Well, I use Google, and Google's told me that the soleus muscle is a wide, flat muscle in the calf that runs from just below the knee to the heel, connecting to the Achilles tendon above the heel. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like right now. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not Dr. Gelb. I do not have a doctorate degree. That sounds like right before you're about to tear your Achilles, that's an injury that you end up suffering. Like, remember when Durant got hurt? I think he had a calf strain or something, and then Achilles popped. This has the making of, and when I kind of related to Kristaps Porzingis. Last night, when I'm watching Kristaps Porzingis get hurt, it was such an awkward, non-contact kind of injury, and you saw him just like grimace in pain right away, and his back got real tight, and almost looked like he couldn't walk. I was once playing, this is my favorite radio, whenever you compare yourself to an athlete getting injured, and I'm not an athlete. But this is not even a soleus muscle injury. I was once playing basketball in Philly. I was in like a men's league right out of college. And we were pretty damn good. Man, some of those games were crazy. The crowds that would come to those games, you could not believe it. Like, remember when World Star was a thing? A family was trying to World Star us, where they get this viral video, and they kept on saying, World Star, World Star, World Star. And they were like trying to get us like getting stuffed or like fall on our faces. And I stuffed one of the opposing players. Like, I had a big block, and the ball went flying to the other end of the court. And I looked at the cameras, and I was like, World Star! Because that's what everyone was trying to get us in the gotcha moment, with our basketball team that we were trotting out there. But I went up for a rebound in one of these games, and I got crashed by like two people, and my back just went. And I don't want to have a moment here on the radio. So I had it was a herniated disc. Just got to be very careful. There's been some people when they say bulging something else on the radio, they try to say disc, but they say something else. And that was I could not walk. I could not move. And the next day I tried to stand up and get out of my bed. And I did what Kristaps Porzingis did last night, which was like and then you grab your back, you grab your leg, and you don't know where the pain is coming from. All you know is that you're in pain. That's what happened to Kristaps Porzingis last night. He hurt the soleus muscle, but it shot all throughout his body. He didn't know what to do. And you could tell he was walking off the court. And you could just tell the immense amount of pain that he's in. And it stinks because, unfortunately for Kristaps, injuries have derailed his career. So he is out with a soleus strain. And Woj says it's expected to miss a minimum of several games with the right soleus strain, sources tell ESPN. I know that it's several games of the NBA. It's always like, okay, you never know when the player's actually to come back. If they get him back, but if they're in the NBA Finals, that's when I would expect him to return. I know these series are long. I'm not a doctor. I don't think he's playing in the second series, maybe for the conference finals. Maybe. But, you should be able to win your next series even without Chris. They should still be able to get to the NBA Finals without Kristaps Porzingis. But if they want any chance of beating Denver, yeah, they're going to need Kristaps Porzingis back, and they're going to need him to be healthy. And so that may not even be enough. Do we have this Woj sound, though? This is Woj talking about the future of LeBron James, which has been a big topic throughout the show.
In my conversations with Rich Paul, who obviously represents LeBron James, but will also represent Bronny James, is that the idea of them playing together is not a priority. It's not foremost, at least any longer in LeBron James's mind. That Rich Paul's goal here in the pre-draft process for Bronny James is to see if there is the right developmental system, organization, a place that can take a young player like Bronny James, who went 5 months without playing, after his heart episode, certainly limited him in his season at USC. And so if he does go in the draft, he's very likely would spend next year in the G League. So I think that's the priority for them as a family. What's best for Bronny James? And if it ends up them together, well, that would be great. But I don't get a sense it's playing much, if any, role in LeBron James' decision.
I love how he goes, it's not playing a role. But if they end up together, great. You're telling me Bronny's going to go to a team without his dad and he's going to play in the G League next year? If that's the case, if that's a thought process, you should go back to college. Go back to college. I know Bronny can't just be a kid like everybody else, but transfer to Duquesne. Play for your father's high school teammate in Drew Joyce and work on ball there. You don't need to go to the G League. Get the thrill of maybe going to a March Madness or something like that. Hey, I said this before. I kind of moved off Bronny and LeBron playing with one another. Because when LeBron sat there and he said, that's my dream, I don't know if it's my son's dream. So that kind of got me skeptical. But today I feel like when you had the early reporting from Shams, also this is a little Shams Woj going at it. Because Shams said they report last night the Lakers are open to it. Now, it doesn't mean that LeBron is still open to it, or maybe LeBron's son said, no, Dad, it's not something I want to do. But I will still sit here and say LeBron's back in Los Angeles next year. Bronny's on his team. And LeBron is playing his final season. All righty, good show today. Big thanks to each and every one of you participating with the extravaganza. Big thanks to Stu. Big thanks to Samter as well. And also a big thank you to Trevor Lane and Alex Brown for stopping by. We'll be back tomorrow, everybody, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Bye-bye. Peace!
You're in a 5-minute break.